Hey guys, in today's video you're going to learn about how to set goals for your product and metrics which are related to that goals. If you're interested in that sort of content, do keep watching. Firstly, if you do not already know, the main reason that product managers are responsible for setting the goals and the metrics related to those goals are so that they can measure the success of a product or the failure of a product. So it's a very useful tool for a product manager to leverage basis whenever they are doing their day-to-day activities. So if you've not already seen my earlier video wherein I speak about the day in a life of a product manager, I have literally mentioned monitoring metrics like 1,000 times in the video. You can attest that by viewing the video, but I have really emphasized on monitoring the metrics very frequently for a product manager. While that video is telling that a product manager should monitor the metrics frequently, this video is about how you as a product manager can really start thinking about setting the goals and the metrics for your own product for your own benefit. So let's get into it. Now, there are two parts to setting the goals or the metrics for a product. One is goals for the end users of the product. Second are the goals for the business. Now, if you do not know how to identify the end users for the product, I have done a video before wherein I've spoken explicitly about how you should go about doing the market research of identifying your target market, identifying your ideal customer profile, because that's literally the basis of everything that you as a product manager do. So I highly recommend checking that out, because once you've identified who your users are, only then you will be able to understand what goals for those users are. So the video is linked above. It's going to be linked in the description below as well. So it's going to be really helpful for you as a product manager to think about it holistically. But these are the two areas that a product manager needs to think about: end users and the business. Now you might think, are these not the same? Well, in reality they are different. I'm going to explain that with an example. So let's get right into the example of how it's important for a product manager to think about goals from an end user and from a business perspective. Now I'm going to take a product which most of you would be knowing is Uber Eats. Now mostly Uber is a company which is successful in India for its mobility services, cabs and stuff like that. Uber Eats entered in Indian market in 2017. It did not succeed very well. That's a separate story, but for the sake of this example, let's take Uber Eats as a product. Now the goal for Uber Eats as a company is simple: offer a seamless and convenient food delivery experience for both customers and the rest. Now this is a higher level goal that Uber Eats as a company has set. Now if you look at the success metric from a business standpoint for this particular goal, it's going to be increase market share. Like from a business perspective, what they care about is profit. How Uber Eats can get into such a competitive space in India wherein there are already major players like Swiggy and Zomato. So how can Uber Eats get into the market? So from a business standpoint, the success metric is, or a goal is, increase the market share. But from a user standpoint, they don't care about market share, right? They don't even know about all of that. From an end user perspective, the success metrics is more orders, right? More people order from the product. Obviously, this user level metric is going to roll up to the business level metric. That's obvious. But it's important for a product manager to know what the difference between these are. Many a times what happens is that product managers go too much in depth thinking only about how to make money from that product, that they lose the sight of what users actually want. Ideally, in the ideal world, both of these should be same. Like business should revolve around what makes users happy, but there are cases wherein some companies or some products are very much focused on making money out of it and not caring about what users of the product want. So as a product manager, as a good product manager, you should think about it from both the angles when you are defining the goals and defining the metrics for your product. Now just to touch base a little on that, from a business standpoint, a goal, as I mentioned, is increasing market share, or it could be focused around revenue, or it could be focused around ads if those are what you're serving, or it could be focused around something around the vendors or the restaurants who are linked with Uber Eats, right? Because those are all the things which matter to the company, to the Uber Eats company. Those are the things which do not matter to the end users, at least directly. Indirectly somehow they do, yes, but directly they do not. So whenever you are thinking about defining the metrics from a business standpoint, you have to think about it from the company's vision. Like, what is the long-term vision that the company has set up, right? Now, I've done a video before wherein I've spoken about how you as a product manager can very effectively apply the company's vision statement, the mission statement, the OKRs to your own product, because that's what the smartest thing for a product manager to do is. If you want your company's business to make money, to flourish, then you have to got to think about company's vision and mission and OKRs, and you have to align whatever you are doing as a product manager to all of these things. That's how you're going to be successful. Now, that's from a business standpoint. From an end user standpoint, as I mentioned, one of them is more delivery orders. Other things could be things like how much time is it taking for them to complete one order, how much time is it taking for them to do a payment, how many times, what is the average session length, how many times are they coming back on the application. So things like that. Now when you are setting up the metrics from end user perspective, you've got to wear the hat of the end user. Like, for example, when you use a food delivery app, what are the things that you care about as an end user? You care about how quickly are you going to find the food that you're interested in. You care about the quality of the food. You care about how much time it's going to take for it to be delivered. You care about the hygienic conditions in which the food gets delivered and stuff like that. So those are all together very different parameters and very different metrics from an end user perspective from those of a business standpoint. So that's why I'm just emphasizing it repeatedly, that a product manager has to think about how it's beneficial for a business and how it's beneficial for an end user. And just one last thing on why it's important to track business level metrics and end user level metrics are because if a business flourishes, the product is going to get more recognition, you are going to have more resources to build more features on top of the product, you as a product manager are going to grow in the career. On the other hand, if the end users of the product are finding the product really successful, that's when they are going to keep coming back to the product. That data point is eventually going to feed into the business level metrics, because more revenue they get from, suppose a product is serving ads, or in this case in Uber Eats, since people are ordering frequently, the restaurants are getting benefited from it, and hence Uber Eats is getting benefited from it. That's why earlier I said these user level metrics really should ideally roll up to the business level metrics, but having a clear distinction between should really help you as a product manager. So I hope this has provided you some context into how should you set a goal for your product, and considering from a business standpoint and an end user standpoint. Do let me know via comments on what your experience has been when it comes to setting up the metrics for your product. This is a data driven world that we are living in, so it's just 101 lesson that I'm currently giving you, wherein it's important that you at least know what metrics do you want to set. Once you've set them on paper, on Excel, then there is a whole different story about making sure how those things get tracked, and for you to be able to build beautiful reports out of it. That's altogether a separate story, but hopefully this has given you some insights into what metrics actually mean and how can it be really useful for a product manager. If there's nothing else, I'm going to see you all next week. Bye.